Hi, welcome to Chris Cook for You Too. Today I'm going to be doing sock it to me cake. Okay, I think this is a good cake for your Thanksgiving table. I think you're truly going to enjoy it, and I'm giving you enough time where you can practice it if you need to. Now, I want to explain something about this cake, but let me do the ingredients first. I have regular granulated sugar. I have cake flour. If you don't want to use cake flour and you want to use regular all-purpose flour, you can. You'll just have to sift it. With the cake flour, there is no need to sift it. Baking powder, sour cream, eggs, and they should be room temperature eggs, vanilla extract, butter. Now, that's what you need to make the cake. Now, there is a streusel that goes inside of the cake. That is made with 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 3 tablespoons of cinnamon, and really it should be a 1/2 cup of pecans, but I love pecans. I love any kind of nuts, so I'm using a whole cup of them. Now, I want to explain something about this cake. This cake is going to be my Thanksgiving cake. Because it's going to be my Thanksgiving cake, I am not going to put the frosting on this. I'm going to make a brown butter frosting. It's really a brown butter glaze that's going to be on this, and this is going to be in bundt cake form. But I can't put it on there and freeze it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the brown butter frosting in a separate video. And I'll make that as we move closer to Thanksgiving. But what I will do, just so you can get the ingredients to make this same brown sugar glaze, if you should choose to, that I'm going to be making, what I'm going to do is to put the brown sugar glaze in the description box with the cake measurements. Okay? Now, I'm going to cut out a piece of this cake, but that's it. We're like 2.5 weeks away from Thanksgiving, and maybe a little bit more. And I'm going to freeze my cake for that long. And I could show you how to freeze it because it's a very simple process. And this cake will taste just like you baked it the same day of. It's always good to get everything that you can do early out of the way early, so you don't spend all of your day in the kitchen. Now, because I added 1 cup of walnuts, I think I'm going to add just a little bit more brown sugar to this, and I'll put it in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go away, get myself all set up, and I'll meet you at the mixer. Remember, we're making sock it to me cake. Okay, so I'm at my mixer, and I already have the 3 sticks of butter in. And what I'm going to do with my dry ingredients is I'm going to take my baking powder, and I'm going to add it to my cake flour. Okay, because that's just going to make it a little bit easier on me when it comes to adding the ingredients. Okay. Now, since I'm using the cake flour, there's no need to pre-sift it. And the baking powder, as always, your ingredients are going to be at the bottom of the tutorial. But for the baking powder, it was only I think it was a teaspoonful. So that's not a lot. Okay, now my butter is room temperature. So I'm going to go ahead and give my butter a start. And then I'm going to add in my granulated sugar. Now, we're not going to do a whole lot of mixing with this. One of the good things about cakes, when you have to put in, a lot of cakes, they call for adding your ingredients at different times. And with some of the ingredients, they're not the same. You can make the cakes with oil, some type of oil, and you can make them with butter. But when it comes to making a cake that requires you to start with your butter and your sugar. You want to make sure that you cream that together good, because that's the basis of your cake. And if you can master that, 9 times out of 10, your cake is going to come out real, real good. Now, I've added in all of my sugar, and I'm going to give this a quick stir. Okay, I'm going to stop it. And I'm going to stir down the sides of my bowl. Now, it's really not necessary for me to stir down the sides of my bowl, but I do it all the time anyway, because I do have this scraper paddle on. And the scraper paddle, I hope you can see it. See that little gray part down there? And that's scraping up the sides and stuff. So I went in and I did scrape the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and lock it. And now I'm going to start to add my eggs one at a time. And as I tell you all the time, when I'm baking a cake or when I'm doing any baked goods, it's best to crack your eggs in a bowl before you crack them, or do not crack them inside of your mix that you're blending. Because if you do it by cracking it in a bowl and one of your eggs say it's no good, you can always throw out the eggs and start, get some fresh eggs. But if you put it into your ingredients one at a time, then you got to throw out all that all of that butter and that sugar, and that's just too much. So you don't want to do it that way. So you want to continue to add your eggs one at a time until you get them all blended in. Alrighty. Once you do that, I'm going to scrape again. Remember, if you got that paddle on there, this part of it is not necessary, but old habits die hard. So, this is a very good cake. You try it, you're going to enjoy it. But because I'm going to freeze this cake and use it for my Thanksgiving Day table, now I'm adding in my vanilla. I can't put my icing on yet, but I'm going to make sure, like I said, that I put the ingredients in the description box so you can go ahead and get them, and then you'll have them in case you want to use this particular frosting. Now, you don't have to use this frosting. You can use any type of glaze you want to use, but I just thought that the brown sugar, or brown butter glaze, I thought that would be appropriate for this type of cake. Now I'm adding in my sour cream and my cake flour and baking powder. My baking powder and cake flour is mixed, so now I'm adding in my sour cream. Whoa! Got a little bit of a spill right there. And I'll get that up. For some reason, my mixer's not on one. What I should have on here is my guard, but I don't. So I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, I'm going to add some more of my flour mixture. And if I had thought about my guard, I would have put it on here, but halfway into the cake now, I'm not going to worry about it. So I put in half of my flour and baking powder, and then half of my sour cream. Now my mixer, and maybe it's time for me to get a new one. This is a KitchenAid, and I've had it for 40 years. So when it's flipping and flopping, trust me, it has served me well in these 40 years of baking. That's good. Now I'm going to add some more. And what I'm trying to do here is to add, you know, put them in I'm going to put it in 4 increments. So each time I'll put in, you know, a fourth of the flour mixture, and then a fourth of my sour cream. Now what you see me trying to do, because my mixer is going so fast and it's not on that really slow speed, and I think it's about time to, it's conking out. So what I'm trying to do is to make sure that I don't get so much of a you know, a flyback on my ingredients. This is a real good cake. Trying this cake, you're truly going to enjoy it. Just try not to do as much flour mess as I did. Okay. Now just so you know, when you hear me, I'm pre-starting my mixer like that. I'm just doing that so that I don't get flour flying all over every place like it did during the first part of it. But my speed should not be going that fast. But I think it's just because my mixer's almost shot. I tell you what though, this cake is looking good. Okay, I'm gonna finish out the rest of it. So that's the rest of the of my cake flour. And I don't have a lot of my sour cream left. There it is. And I'll mix this last little bit up. Okay. Now that's blending all up well. And while that's blending up, doing the last little bit of the blend, I want to show you that I did spray my pan with some Baker's Joy. You can use any kind of pan release that you want to use. It doesn't matter, but this is the one that I used. Okay, and that's blended up well. Now, I want you to look at this. That batter looks delicious. Now, the way I learned this, I used to be, and I don't go into my personal life, but I will say this right here. I used to be the lead baker at Kmart, Super Kmart. Um, and I did that for a while. And a lot of cakes I learned how to make there. See that cake? Cake looks good. And the way I learned how to do this Sakatumi cake, I'm going to show you a different way. But I learned how to do it with skewers, which is the same way I learned how to do donuts and all of that stuff. I learned it with skewers. But I'm going to show you because I think it would be easier for you if I showed you how to do this with just a spoon. So you want to put some batter in the cake. Need to dry this towel. A dish towel. And you're going to preheat your oven. I don't know if I said it or not, but you're going to preheat your oven at 325 degrees. You're going to allow this cake to bake for an hour and 20 minutes. Okay, this cake looks like it looks like whipped cream. Okay. Now, now the way I learned how to do it, which I'll show you, but it might be a little bit harder, so I'm going to show you how to do it the way everybody is normally doing it now. Okay, you're going to put in your cake batter like you just saw me do. You're going to level it out as best you can. And then you're going to mix. This is what you saw me make at the table. It's cinnamon, it's brown sugar, and it's pecans. So you're going to add that. Now, there's two ways you can do this. You can streak a little hole, and then you can put it in like a tunnel. Or you can just put it in just like you see me doing it. But this is not the way that I learned how to do this cake. But I think it'll be okay. Okay. Now the way I did, I take two backward skewers, and I blend it over. Okay? I just keep on folding. See how I did that? I just fold it over. That's the way I learned it. But that's not the way I'm going to show you how to do it. The way I'm going to show you how to do it is we're just going to add the... Put that there. We're just going to add the batter on the top of the cake, and then we're going to spread it out. Now this may be a lot easier, especially if it's something that you're not familiar with. A lot of times when I'm doing cake, some people say, I can't stand it when you beat that, when I make that sound like that. Well, that's where you need to turn your sound down at, because that's the way you got to do it. So if this is hard for you to deal with, just turn your sound down right there. You'll be all right. Because it's a real good cake. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spread my batter over. And as the cake puffs up, what it's going to do is it's going to enfold all of that cinnamon, pecans, and the brown sugar. Okay. Now this is a good cake. I think if you try it, you are truly going to enjoy it. Alrighty. There we have it. Gonna flop it one time. Why did I flop it? That's so I can release any bubbles that may be trapped inside of the cake pan. Okay, we're gonna put it in the oven. We're gonna let it slow cook. Not gonna worry about it. 325 degrees for an hour and 20 minutes. And I'll bring you back when this cake is done. Okay, now I'm back. And it's done. And one of the ways that you check it is by sticking, you know, you can stick a knife down in it, but I'm using a skewer. So you stick it down in and bring it up. And it's clean. The only thing that you see is just where we did the cinnamon. Okay, so that's good. I'll stick it another place. That's the same way. The only thing is where I did the cinnamon at. Okay, so we're going to let this cool about 15 minutes before we flip it. I'll bring you back. Okay, now I'm sitting at the table and this cake is still hot. But I'm going to go ahead and try to release it. I have to have my daughter release it because this thing hot. Ugh. Okay. There you go. There it is. So what I am going to do is I'm going to let it cool just a little bit more. I really don't want to cut this cake because like I told you, this cake I'm going to wrap up and put it up in my freezer until Thanksgiving. But I want to show you what the insides look like. So I'm going to let it cool just a little bit longer because it's still very hot. You can still feel the heat coming from the cake. So I'm going to let it cool for maybe about another 20 minutes and then I'll cut into it and let you see a slice before I wrap it. Then once I've wrapped it all in saran wrap, which is what I'm going to do, then I'm going to show you how you would freeze it because we're going to wrap it in saran wrap. Then I'm going to put it into a plastic bag, tie a knot in and put it in the freezer until the holidays, until the day before the holidays. So I'll be back once I get to that point. Okay, I'm back and it's not very, very cool, but it's going to take a minute and I got some other things that I want to do. So I'm going to go ahead on and cut into this cake just so you can see it's very warm too. I normally don't like cutting my cakes when they are this warm. Okay. Okay. Now, I don't know for most people who can or can't tell the difference in a slice of cake, but I want to tell you something about it. When your cake sits together like that, that's a good cake. When you got a lot of air bubbles all through your cake, you see some people have cakes and it looks like it's a box cake. That cake, a lot of times they're not good. They're just like what I said, they're a box cake. But when you got your cake look like it's solid, see how it's sitting solid? That's a real good cake. This cake is still warm, but I wanted to go ahead and cut it just to show you what this cake actually looks like. And here is the insides of the piece that I cut. Now I'm gonna wrap this and then I'm gonna bring it back and I'm gonna show you once I get it wrapped. Okay, now I'm behind here holding the camera and my daughter is wrapping the cake. She's already wrapped it once in plastic wrap and now she's wrapping it again in plastic wrap. When she gets through with the plastic wrap, she's going to wrap it in some aluminum foil, a piece of aluminum foil, and then that's how it looks. And then when she finishes with the aluminum foil, then she's going to put it in a plastic bag, tie it in a knot, and we'll show it to you then. I can tell you right now, I'm not good at this. I'm just doing this because she's doing that. So it makes it, somebody got to hold the camera, so I'm the one that you all got. And I really wanted to show you just how this is actually done. If you're going to prepare your cakes ahead of time, like I did this one is like 2.5 weeks ahead of time, then you want to make certain that you wrap it properly so that it'll still be good by the time you get ready to actually serve the cake. So that's why I'm trying to show you how to do this. And probably all of my cakes will be done by that time. And then I'll just have the pies to do. And once I do them, then, it's all over. But I won't do them until probably, I'll make the filling for the pies. I'll make that the beginning of the week of Thanksgiving. But I won't actually bake off the pies until the morning of Thanksgiving. So I just wanted to show you this, exactly how this is actually done. And then we're going to slip it over into a bag and that's going to be it. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video right here. Just want to let you know exactly how this is actually done. And I hope you're able to understand this video because I know it's a little bit lengthy, but this was what I needed to show you so you could follow the same steps if you did not know how to do it for your holiday as well. And as always, I want to tell you, thank you for watching. Chris cooked for you too. Wave to the camera. Okay, bye.